I'm Anna,
And I'm Fran.
and you're listening to Murder Words. Welcome back to Murder Words.
Hey.
So, I've been super excited to tell actually a couple people. I've been like, listen, I have made a discovery. But something else super crazy is happening. So, Fran has. You just tell the story, you tell it better.
Okay, so I got this phone number for my new phone back in October of last year. And since then, I'm pretty sure the guy who had this number before me is missing. All right, and people thought I was crazy at first.
I did think you were a little crazy. I
No,
was like, okay.
no, this is the thing, okay? I know what I know about him so far. His name is David. He likes Hudson's Pizza. He has not shown up for work in a long time. And this morning, his father called me.
Yeah, so when you told me that, I actually died.
You actually
Like,
started to believe me, you mean?
Yeah, I started to believe you, and then we found him, we don't know if it's him, on Facebook, and I just messaged a random person with the same name asking them if this used to be their phone number. So
Listen, I've actually I went on the jail websites. I've looked at obituaries because I'm not kidding. Like, this guy keeps getting packages, like alerts that packages are ready for him, and no one's responding to them.
and his dad,
Called, said like, "Hey, son," and I'm like, "This isn't your son. I'm Fran."
that is really concerning. Like,
You believe me now.
I believe you, and I'm really concerned. So we'll keep you guys updated.
We'll keep you
on
updated about how I was right.
How Fran was right, and if this man reads my message and messages me back, because it says he lives in Florida now, so he's probably like, ma'am. He'll probably just block me.
I am going to tell him, "Sir, you are very irresponsible."
Call your father.
Call your father.
Your dad is worried.
Yes, call your father. And check on your job, because I don't think you have it anymore.
Yeah. Okay, so
And the story today is, Anna?
the story today. Listen,
Okay.
I died. So this is a quick overview of the cult Synanon.
Synanon?
Have you ever heard of them?
I have not.
I hadn't either, and I was just listening to My Favorite Murder, which is a hilarious podcast. I highly recommend. And I heard this episode, and I was like, this sounds weirdly familiar to our life.
What?
This is actually the life that we've been living. So, you're gonna die. I text a couple other people, like, you are gonna have to listen to this episode that comes out Monday, because I need to die with all my friends.
You need to talk about
We
it.
need to die together.
Okay, let's talk
Yes.
about it, Anna.
So, this is a quick overview, because we could probably make an entire series on this, honestly, because it's a cult and they go on forever, but I try to make it as brief as possible. Okay, and I can't believe I've never heard of it. So, in 1913, Charles Diedrich was born in Toledo, Ohio. I got so excited, I'm almost a little bit out of breath right now.
I can tell you have been on edge
All
just
day.
dying
Like,
to tell me about this.
I almost
told me ahead of it.
Yeah, I almost told her, but I didn't. Okay. When he was 4 years old, his dad died in a car crash. When this happened, his mom, started kind of looking to him as the head of the household. And so he had to grow up early because of it. His brother died when he was 8 due to the flu. When he was 12, his mom remarried, and Charles was super pissed because he's used to being
Like the man of the house.
the man of the house, and he was super jealous and just kind of went into a rage, and he turned to drinking to cope.
At 12?
He is one of us. He is an alcoholic.
Okay.
So, and at some point I couldn't find a definite date, but they moved to California somewhere along the line in his childhood. He was a full-blown alcoholic by the time high school ended. He went to college for 18 months, and then he flunked out. He went through a couple marriages and couldn't hold down a job due to how much he was drinking. basically all of our
Pretty
all
much
of our
all
story. Yeah. Apparently, his second wife told him that if he didn't go to 12-step meetings, it was over.
Okay.
He did end up going, but she ended up leaving anyway. I guess she thought he wouldn't really do it. I am going to say 12-step meetings. It does not say that in all of the research and stuff that I watched and listened to. It says like the actual one, but out of respect for the traditions. And it makes me cringe when I read stuff like that, I think, because it's been so...
Implanted into you?
Yes. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I can't talk about that, like, outside of the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Because when people talk about the meetings and then they do dumb shit, like start a cult, it makes it look bad.
It reflects badly.
It looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Back then, though, it is different now, but back then, drug addicts were not welcome in this certain 12-step group.
Mm-hmm.
So, Charles decided that he was going to take it upon himself to save the drug addicts.
Oh.
He went to a meeting every day and was like a super popular speaker. Like at this time, I guess he was...
Was he doing all right?
Yeah, he was doing great. Like it was working, you know, everything was... He was doing what he was supposed to do.
Okay.
He didn't have a job, though. He was just living on unemployment. He signed up for an experiment that was put on by a Dr. Keith Dittman. Dr. Dittman had a theory at that time that LSD could cure alcoholism. Yes. So, at that time, he realized that, like, when he was, like, tripping on LSD, he realized that drug addicts also needed help. And he decided, like, this was where he came up with the idea that in order to help them, he needs to start his own program.
Oh.
Charles did.
Charles did.
Yeah.
He's tripping and he's like, all y'all
He's like,
crap,
I am God,
I need to start this.
And I'm going to save the drug addicts.
Okay.
He started his own club type situation in his apartment, and he called it the Tender Loving Care Club.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually... the name switches to Synanon, and this is because one of the participants accidentally meshed the words seminar and symposium together.
Okay, I could actually see that happening. Like, I could see people in a room, them
they were
mixing
probably
it.
in there, like, detoxing and just, like, trying to say a word and meshed it together because you're out of your mind when you're detoxing, and he was like, you know what?
That's it.
That's
God
the
made
one.
that happen right now. That's
Yep.
our name. So it went from something like tender loving care, which sounds like all cute and flimsy, to like, what is it called? Synanon? Synanon, which sounds like the devil, like Synanon.
I think of, you know, when I would like type it into Google, every time it thought I was trying to say synonym, so it would bring up words similar to the ones that I was typing into Google.
Oh.
Google also does not think this is a cool name.
Okay.
In the beginning, he would have about 10 addicts over to his apartment to play a game, to play what he called the game.
The game?
The game. And please prepare yourself.
Oh my God.
Because I almost actually threw myself out the window when I started reading about this. I'm actually about to throw myself out again right now. The game is where they sit in a circle. One person talks about themselves. One person is chosen for each session. And the rest of the group then criticizes them by talking about their negative traits. That's how it was explained in each of them. Formerly known to us as community.
Yes.
So,
Through the other 12-step based program. Okay.
So, well, that's not part of the 12 steps, but
you know what
treatment.
I mean. Treatment.
So, and I know a lot of people, most people, but we do have listeners in like other countries that don't know Fran and I's story. But I'm going to give a little snippet. I went through treatment. There was like a decade where I was in treatment in jail. And then I was going through treatment, and then in 2016, I moved to West Virginia to help open a facility that was based on what we called community. also known as the game in this cult.
The same exact scenario.
And I could not find any... This is where it originated. This is where this idea originated. Like,
Stop
he
it.
coined this idea. That's why I died. Yes.
And was my whole life about to be a lie?
The whole thing.
Oh my God. Okay, just keep talking.
Like, so, yes.
I guess we're just going to talk about your story, but not my story.
Go ahead. Yeah, go. Well, I didn't want to, like, put words
You
in your
can
mouth.
go
That's
ahead.
why I switched over. So then, I even wrote it in here. Like, I wrote our story, a little bit of our story.
Then you go ahead, Anna.
Yeah. So I started to die, and community did save my life. Not to sound like a true cult member, because here I am. And Fran was the very first graduate of that facility in West Virginia. And then I was the program director and got a new job, and Fran came in as the program director, and now we're best friends. So
Hey, everyone.
that happened.
There's a lot more to that story. It wasn't that brief, but...
Yeah, it wasn't that brief, but the realization that two of my closest friends run community still to this day. And
So, basically in an overview, Anna opened a program that did community, and I participated in that program, community, which is called, originating now from the game.
And everywhere that I could read, it was like they were attacking that person and they were verbally abusing that person. Like, spoke about it so negatively.
Mm-hmm.
But it does work.
We'll talk more about the details at the end, Anna.
Yeah, so look, I got so into it, I lost my spot. Yes, so this is where the concept originated, this type of peer-driven group therapy.
Okay.
He is also the person who coined the term, today is the first day of the rest of your life.
Stop it.
Something like that. I don't know, I'll have to post it, but it was something that we say, like, while we're in treatment. So I feel like this should be something that's taught in our group sessions.
Yeah.
We learn literally about every single detail of alcoholism and addiction, I feel like, over and over, like, repetitively. But we never learn where that originated.
No.
Just saying.
Just keep going. I'm very interested in this.
Yes. So they're holding So they're holding people accountable in front of everyone else, which is terrifying for everyone. Like, literally, like, I ran community for a while and I was nervous for the participants because you remember how it feels, and there is an option to be voted out. So you always think that's going to happen to you, even if you are, like, did nothing wrong. So we call it hitting the board. Charles calls it the haircut. Like, you're cutting off.
Listen, they do that still in, like, RSAT and stuff like that.
They call it the haircut?
They call it haircuts.
No, they don't.
They do.
I am going to throw myself onto the floor right now. I did not know that.
A lot of, like, prison-based treatment facilities or, you know, centers within the jail, they call them haircuts.
I am going to just take that in. Anyway, people loved it. After a while, he started to hold these sessions for 72 hours.
What?
Yes. Like marathon communities, but ours were just a few people would hit the board in one day. These are, from what I read, 72 hours long. So he's getting a little extreme with it. He started out doing it 3 times a week, just for a couple hours. And he had one cardinal rule. That's what he said. One cardinal rule: no violence. During these 72-hour-long sessions, he started to see the effects of sleep deprivation and how people can be controlled easily when they are exhausted.
Wow, this is going in a different direction, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we see a lot anyway with cults in kidnapping cases. Like, they'll keep them awake for a long time. I don't think he was... I think at this time he's just observing, because the first 10 years of this treatment facility, it was successful. Like, people were getting clean. The community was hearing great things about it.
So was he actually operating like a facility or just things out of his house at this point? Or is it starting to build?
It starts to build.
Okay.
It started out at his house, and then he's about to move into a different
Okay.
facility. Hollywood, because remember he's in California now, so Hollywood started to hear about it and loved his idea. Once he started to gain more traction, he had one night a week where outsiders could come in and play the game.
What?
Yes.
How have we not heard about this?
I do not know. Is it being kept a secret?
I feel
from
like
all
it
of
is.
us? Like, why have we not been told where this originated? Once he started to do that, have the one night a week, a lot of famous jazz musicians were addicted to heroin at that time and went there and got clean, and they would then host music nights, so that attracted more attention because they were famous.
Mm-hmm.
It started to be like a sober hangout spot. You know what I mean? Like, you're
It
going to
sounds
go,
cool.
you're going to learn about yourself, which doesn't sound fun, I'm sure, now if you're a normie. And yeah, so it's like the cool place to be if you're sober. A lot of news stories were coming out. Life magazine did a 14-page spread on it, and the title was A Miracle at the Beach. I couldn't find it, but when I was listening to my favorite murder, they said they were talking about it, so it must be true if they said it. The press loved to cover it. Charles was saying at this point that there was an 80 to 100% success rate. Sir.
That's not true.
Rehab 101. Never say it's 100%. No. They made a movie about it.
What?
That came
Stop
out
it.
in 1965 called Synanon. I swear. I could not, but when I heard this, I was like, what is actually happening?
We are watching that immediately after this.
People thought this was the cure for addiction. They thought this man has found the answer. Once everyone knew about it, the donations started to pour in, millions of dollars type of thing.
Oh, I'm
because he's
sure.
with celebrities. They were at this rundown house in Venice Beach at this time, and due to all the donations, they moved into this huge building on the beach. I'll post a picture of it. I looked it up. There are tons of pictures of it. It's huge. They were reportedly bringing in $10 million a year.
Back when?
1965.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money now.
I know, but that's a really lot of money back then.
This started to become an issue because it wasn't a business. It wasn't a registered. He never
made it into anything
he's just
official.
doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The health department, no one was checking in on him. In 1968, this is kind of where it starts to get crazy because this is at the 10-year mark. An official club was created for the normies. It didn't say normies, but that's what that's what my kind of people, Fran and I's kind of people, call people non-addicts.
Good job, Anna.
Or as my sponsor calls them, Earth people.
Earth people.
Stop it. Aliens. So, the normies. So there was a club for them where they could just come and play the game. It was just it wasn't one night a week anymore. It was a separate, you're in this club.
Okay.
Come play the game.
Okay.
I read a couple different articles with different numbers, but from what I can find out, at one point there were a range of 3,400 to 5,000 normies in the club. So a lot.
Okay.
In the last 10 years, that's how it went. You arrive, like a normal treatment center, you arrive at Synanon, you quit cold turkey, suffered through it. Then you were at the facility for anywhere up to 2 years.
Okay.
Same as all the other long-term facilities that we've all been to multiple times. After so many people joined that new club, Charles had an idea. He was like, I'm going to open this up and allow all the normies to live here for hundreds of dollars a month so they can have the full experience of the lifestyle that we're living. So a lot more money started to flow in.
Yep.
Because, of course, everyone was like, yes, I want to go live in this rehab.
Yeah.
So apparently, around this time, people started to figure out the success rate wasn't actually 80 to 100%, obviously. Some places I read and listened to acted like 100% of people who left relapsed, but no one knows the real number. Mm-hmm. Like, I think when they started to get mad and realize it wasn't 80 to 100%, they were like, 0% of people stay sober.
Right.
You know how people are. People, I mean, 100% is crazy. Stop it, Charles. Anyway, he was starting to think it's probably because they weren't here long enough. So he made a new rule. Instead of 2 years, you now live there forever.
What?
Yep.
I mean,
rest of your life.
That is a good way to get towards that 100%.
Yeah.
Lock and key.
Yep. Like you know what? It wasn't working. You tried it. You went out in society and you failed. Here forever. Just come join us forever.
He's like building his own little country.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a lot of people. I mean, you have, in the one group, you
Yeah.
have 5,000 people alone. Then how went to the other group?
Yep. Oh, I don't know.
Just too many.
I know, yeah, too many. He told them, once you get better, you start to heal, and then you should turn around and put it back into the program, giving what was so freely given to you. Bitch, I swear. Are you dying? You're dying. If you guys could just see Fran's face, and probably everyone else who's been through treatment is probably like, what is happening? Because I was. I even, like, made my husband listen to some of this, like some of the podcasts that I was listening to, like, what does this sound like? Because he also used to run the game in the treatment facility he went through. He then changes what he calls it. He doesn't say rehab anymore. He calls it a human progressive program.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, but I think when you use steroids, there's like a human, you know that one, that when people get all buff, there's like, anyway, it reminded me of the name. Like there's I don't know. It's like
what?
Human, to give you all, make you all muscly. It sounds like that. Oh, that was my first thought. Apparently I needed to share that. They start to use all of this new money they're getting to buy new properties. They bought this big, huge building for like $10 million on a bunch of land. They do that multiple times. They're expanding. So, to our kind of people, this is like a dream come true. Kind of. Not everyone wants to go to treatment. But if you're like homeless, you're living on the streets, you don't know what to do, especially back then.
You can't stay sober. You know what I mean? To do anything.
And then you see like this big mansion with celebrities in it, and they're like, come live with us. Like, yes, we're all gonna do that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you're come in with us. Like you can never leave, but you're gonna love it. You'll be, you know what I mean? Like this is crazy to me. The authorities started to hear about this lifelong treatment facility, and they are like, okay, you don't live at rehab forever. What is going on? They were put in a tough situation though, because like they had so much power.
Yeah.
So many like lawyers, police officers, like so many politicians. Mm-hmm. Everyone was involved.
People that probably also owed them because of the services they provided.
Yeah.
Or had dirt on them, just be honest about it.
Yeah. So they were living above the law. Mm-hmm. Like they could literally do no wrong. They were basically untouchable. When authorities started to really like take action, Charles decided he was going to move up out of Southern California. Like he was like, they're getting too close. Like we need to, relocate. They were still in California, but it was a different part. I've never been to California, but it looks pretty big. So.
I didn't understand your hand motion right there where they were moving.
It looks big, a lot bigger than our states. So
okay, so they moved.
They moved to a different part of California.
Okay.
They bought a 1,700-acre ranch and began their community there. They started to live like the cheapest way possible, like living off the land. I couldn't find a picture of this, but they said that they lived in like hexagon house, like the houses were shaped like hexagons to help with heating or help it stay cooler. I couldn't find anything on that or pictures of the buildings, but that was what I heard somewhere. They started to all wear overalls. All of them.
Stop it.
That's where I draw the line.
That is too far.
No, ma'am. Can we get a different outfit? Because I'm not doing this.
I imagine they were going to be like cotton outfits.
Mm-hmm. Flowy angel outfits.
Yes.
Everyone started to shave their heads.
Stop it.
Everyone, men and women, so they could be like the same. Basically, like their identity was
stripped from them.
Yeah. So they all looked the same. At this point,
where does he not stop and be like, oh wait, this has really taken a turn?
He never does. No. But
okay.
Like there are a lot of pictures of them. Like they were out in the community. So like I feel like I would be scared.
Yeah.
If I was just in Walmart and saw like a huge group of people in matching clothes with shaved heads.
Yeah.
I would have a lot of questions.
I would have questions as well.
For what's happening. At this point, Charles declares Synanon as a church. Like as a religion, so they don't have to pay any taxes.
Oh no.
So all of the money goes straight into their pockets. They started to have the most devoted ones go out into the community and get donations.
Is he still not making enough money?
I guess not.
Like, is his money starting to go downhill because they were living off the land?
I think he's just
hogging it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Charles is married at this time to his third wife, Betty. Just a random fact because she kind of comes up later a little bit. He then sets up this huge system called the Wire.
Oh my God.
It's like an intercom system. And they hung a microphone down from the ceiling. They said it was above his chair at the dinner table, but they said he would just sit there all day and night and talk into this microphone to everyone. Like, basically repeating the same, like being very repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are constantly hearing
his word,
his teachings.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was starting to get a little bit paranoid. He would talk to them about how the outside world was he's basically separating them
from
the
everything.
Outside world, like telling them how bad it is in the outside and that they needed to stick together and they were like one big family now. So I read about the forms of mind control, and that was one of them. Sleep deprivation was one. There was one talking about your diet, like the things people feed you, but I never hear him doing that, but it was pretty interesting. In October of 1972, the Examiner, which is
is that a magazine?
Yeah, it's like a magazine or a newspaper.
I was hoping that wasn't like a position in his church.
No. They write a couple articles of basically talking shit about the Synanon. Synanon sues the corporation the corporation that umbrellas the Examiner. He sues them for $1 million, and they settled out, and the corporation paid Synanon $600,000 to basically go away. So to Charles, that registers success.
Yep.
Like he won money. They were wrong. They're above the law. So that just kind of reinforces his ego of, like, I can't
be touched.
Yeah.
I am doing the right thing. We are this church because it's always winning for us.
Yes. In 1974, Synanon started contacting the juvenile justice system and telling them they will now take underage children. And
stop it.
They agree.
Stop it.
And they start sending children there.
Children? Like, how old of children?
I imagine teenagers.
Okay.
Like people who are getting in trouble that are underage.
Okay.
So addictions or not, they are sent there and they are forced to play the game. And of course, these kids don't want to be there. And they're like, no, fuck this game. I'm not playing this. Like, so
Because they're not volunteering at this point. They're being sent.
Right.
Which is a big difference.
Mm-hmm. And at first, he would make them march when they rebelled. So, like, walk for a time. Almost like trudging. And when that didn't work, he removed the one cardinal rule: no violence.
Stop it.
Yep.
Am I about to get real mad?
Yes. He starts a new club called the Imperial Marines. So when these kids refuse to play the game and the marching is no longer working, members of the Imperial Marines will just walk up and basically beat the shit out of them in front of everyone. You can tell I was getting mad too when I was doing the research, because now cuss words are like in my
Popping
notes.
in there.
Yeah. So of course the kids start to try and escape. And remember, they're on 1,700 acres, which is
huge.
I can't even imagine how big that is.
Mm-hmm.
So they had literally nowhere, except there was a neighbor, a couple named Alvin and Doris Gambinini. They were well known in this town because they used to host barn dances.
Oh.
Which sounds
adorable.
Exactly like something that they would do in the town I grew up in. Probably yours too.
Barn dances.
So anyway, all of a sudden, they started having these kids show up in the middle of the night who were like bruised and swollen just from being beaten so bad. So they started to help them escape. They would bring them in, feed them, comfort them, and then buy them a bus ticket so they could like go back home to their parents.
Okay.
And I read somewhere too that Doris saved all of the, like, the parents would write her like thank you cards and thank you notes and send them to her, and she saved all of them. So, and when she did end up like passing away in her obituary, it like was this beautiful article about how she helped these kids like escape the cult.
Oh.
So because of this, rumors started to fly. Well, they're not rumors, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Everyone started to kind of talk about it, like quietly, that it was a military style type of place that was violent, and they were starting to buy guns.
Uh-oh.
The Synanon members found out that Doris and Alvin were helping these kids escape, and they decided they needed to take action. They see Doris and Alvis driving home. Alvin, not who's Alvis. Doris and Alvin driving home one afternoon, and they surround their truck, and they all have hammers. Can
you leave those angels alone?
Can you imagine just driving and being surrounded by
overall shaved heads?
Yes,
with hammers.
Like how terrifying that situation would be. They need to remake a movie about this.
Yes.
So they started hammering the truck and bust out the driver's side window. They grab Alvin, but Doris is like holding on to him for dear life, and they end up getting away, but they did knock out Alvin's front teeth. And they can't call the cops because they're untouchable. Like, they know that nothing's going to happen.
Right. He knows that no one's going to crack and say, yeah, that did happen.
Mm-hmm. Or there will be retaliation.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, by the late 70s, it is said that over 20,000 businesses were contributing to the Synanon. Or, I don't know if it's the Synanon or just Synanon. I don't know the proper way to... There are multiple other stories similar to that attack. One was that a person in a purple truck hit a Synanon member while they were out riding their bike. And then a gang of members, probably the Imperial
people,
went into town, found that truck, and beat that person up. Like, they're losing control at this point. I mean, they've already been losing control, but now they're doing a lot. In 1977, Charles' wife Betty dies from cancer. Apparently, she was helping him contain a lot of his crazy because it
Oh.
immediately starts to like get way worse. Charles is in his late 60s at that time, and he gets a new I wrote person. He gets a new person. He gets a new girlfriend.
He gets a
pretty
new
much.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
She is in her early 30s, and then all of a sudden, I put she's in her early 30s because for some reason in my mind I expected him for it to be like a teenager.
Yeah, I did too. I'm not gonna lie,
I feel like
did
that's
too.
normal with cults, but I specifically
I did
she's
too.
like-
No, my first thought was he's gonna get like an 18-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
That's still a
18-year-old
big
girl.
age difference.
That is a
He's
big age
late
difference.
60s, she's early 30s. So then he started to realize something. If he can find a new lover, so can everyone else.
What?
So all of the married couples are forced to find new partners.
Stop it.
I swear.
Stop
They
it.
make a giant spreadsheet, and the members of the cult pick out the new matches for everyone. In that area, when he made that decision, there were 600 divorces.
Did they take the kids with them? Like, what happened?
So they were only allowed to see their children
What?
once a week now. The kids were kept at what was the school, and they were taught only Charles's teachings. They were taught to worship him.
Oh my God.
Then they played the game. Little children were playing that game. He really didn't like kids being around, so all of a sudden, all the men were forced to have vasectomies, and any women who were pregnant were forced to have abortions.
Oh my God.
At that point, the health department calls, and they're like, "Yeah, we've been getting a lot of complaints about like child abuse, so we're coming to do an inspection." Which I thought it was weird. It was the health department.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The
But
health
maybe
department.
back then, I don't know. Charles told them, if you show up, we're gonna like basically we're gonna beat the shit out of you.
Mhm.
Like, no. So they didn't, and this scares Charles, and he thinks, okay, I need to make some changes. Like, someone's complaining.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts to cut the uncommitted members, and the membership goes down to 1,000 people.
Wait, so he starts cutting them.
And
As-
sending them out. Yeah. So
He
it's
like
like
lets them
he's-
go?
Yeah. He tells them like they're not committed enough. Like,
So he actually lets
you
them
shaved
leave.
your head and you got a vasectomy, but it's not enough. See you later.
And divorced.
Yeah. Your life is ruined. Bye. So. And it
so
didn't
I
make
don't
sense to me either because it seems like that's releasing people to complain more.
That's less power, too.
But that's the decision he made.
Okay.
In August of 1978, NBC airs a segment on Synanon and basically calls them out, like telling the world this is a cult.
Mm-hmm.
After it airs, NBC executives and a bunch of chairmen got literally hundreds of death threats from people who lived there, but also from community members who were still like super devoted.
Like, they were involved, but they just didn't live there.
Yeah. Not long after this, Paul Morantz, who is a lawyer, filed a lawsuit against Synanon. And I try to make this story kind of, I want to say synopsis. Is that because I'm saying Synanon so much?
Maybe.
Like an overview of the story. So this woman was having like a mental breakdown, and her husband was super worried and was trying to find places for her to go, like wanted her to get help. I guess they came up with a plan. She dropped him off at work, and then she went to a family planning clinic and asked for a tranquilizer because she couldn't calm down. She was like in constant panic attack. The woman who worked at the center was a member of Synanon, and she sent her straight to Synanon, the big place on the beach, the first one, because they still have that, and they didn't let her leave. They convinced her that her husband wanted her there, like had her sent there, and that he didn't want her around anymore. they were like, we are your family now.
Okay.
After a couple days in the beach hotel thing, they ship her to the ranch and they have her play the game, and she has a full psychotic break because of this. The husband is like in panic mode because he doesn't know where she is. So he's like calling the cops, and they're like, listen, she's a grown woman. Like, if she wants to join a cult, she can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing we can do. He continues calling everyone, and he is finally sent to Paul Morantz, the attorney. He has experience with people who are like put into nursing homes and places like that against their will. And he was like, 100% yes, like, I'm going to help you. He knows that everyone is afraid to do something because of retaliation from Synanon. He has the husband call the wife and continue to ask her if she wants to come home so they can have it like recorded that she is being held against her will.
Yes.
She eventually said it, like, they got it. And they went up there and basically demanded to have her back. And they were like, yeah, fine, like, she's psycho anyway, take her.
Right.
Before they can have her back, though, they have to sign a waiver stating that they weren't responsible for anything that happened to her while she was at the ranch. The lawyer was like, yeah, sure, we'll sign it. And then he immediately filed a lawsuit for the things that happened to her while she was at that beach property. So I guess they didn't
connect it. They didn't do
all the
it
way through.
Yep.
Yeah. He sues them for damages, and he wins, and Synanon has to pay them $300,000. So Charles is pissed, and he's like, take care of this guy. So a few of the Imperial Marines got together, I think it was 2 of them, and put a 4-foot-long rattlesnake in his mailbox, into the attorney's mailbox. And when he reached in to get his mail, he was bitten and put in the hospital for 6 days. But he lived, though, luckily.
Oh my God.
So, this is the beginning of the end, obviously. So when this happens, it's like a huge story that they did this to him. Like, everyone's finding out, like, this is a cult. Like, so finally people start taking action. And Charles was arrested. He is drunk when he's arrested.
Oh my God.
So he was drinking the entire time.
No way.
Which is not shocking,
No
because
way.
when you harm people like that, just so everyone knows, and this can be hard for me, because I think our initial reactions are to be mean, but we can't live like that anymore. So he probably coined that term too. Yeah, so he was drinking the entire time, and apparently he also reintroduced acid while they were there.
Yeah, I was waiting for that part.
So they were also doing acid a lot.
Yeah.
He takes a plea bargain that allows him to avoid jail time because his lawyer said his health is too bad for him to go to jail.
He's probably 70, right? Like he's mid-70s at this point.
Yeah. But I heard a lot of things that he was just lying. Like, he just didn't want to go to jail. And in the agreement, he has to, in his plea agreement, he has to discontinue any involvement with Synanon. Mm-hmm. The 2 other members who did the snake thing were also arrested, and they did have to go to jail. The IRS took away their tax-exempt status and ordered them to pay $17 million in back taxes. So they went bankrupt.
Cool.
So in 1991, they were basically over in the U.S.
Oh, stop it.
Apparently, there was a branch founded in 1971 in Germany that still exists to this day.
Stop it. Right now.
Charles Diedrich died in 1997. And that is the story of Synanon. A brief synopsis, if you will. Did you not just die?
I did just die. That story was crazy.
Yes, so, and we do want people to know, basically, of course, a treatment facility very similar to this, well, not similar, it's changed a lot, obviously, but that has some of these methods saved my life, saved Fran's life. basically all of my friends, my husband, literally everyone that I know.
Well, as you were saying, you can't help but where something originates.
You can't help where something originates, and this episode isn't intended to harm anyone, but I thought it was like super.
It's
crazy.
super interesting.
Yeah, that this
it really is.
Something that's not really known.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we've had a lot of requests to do cult episodes, and we haven't.
Yeah.
This just happened to be the first one.
This was interesting.
The very first person who asked me also went through a treatment facility, just like the one we went through. So, yes. So,
and there's lots of them in the United States that are based off like that kind of treatment.
Oh man, like a lot.
A lot of them are.
And the prisons. So it is proven, to save lives. But like we talked about, that first 10 years, he was doing really. Like he was.
It's like they stopped at that 10 years.
Then he took it a little too far.
He got like mad with power.
Yeah, if someone's like, "Hey, everyone's wearing overalls,"
run.
Then that's not
That's not cool.
That's not how it's supposed to happen. So anyway,
overalls.
If someone's like, "We're all gonna shave our heads," no,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
So, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm sure there are documentaries on it. I usually watch one when I'm
definitely watching this movie. I'm very interested.
I don't know if I can do the movie because it's so old. I lose interest in the old. I'm like really a millennial. So,
oh my God.
There needs to be a new one, but I'm sure there's a documentary somewhere out there about it. But so the normal closing. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And email us if you have any cases that you want us to cover, any ideas. So I think that's everything.
Yeah.
I forgot how to close.
I can tell.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep,
that's a good way. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.